Great. Okay, welcome everybody. We're here tonight with Paul Preston and Ray Schillaci and Justin Bowers. Ray, I apologize. I'll come back to your name.
Come back to Justin too.
Yeah.
My name is Chris.
Mine's rather easy.
Right. And I'm from itsashort.com. I'm from itsashort.com, and we're going to start tonight's sort of discussion with our conversation with our Paul Preston, who is the creator and founding genius of the Movie Guys. Paul, tell the audience about who you are.
Well, I'm a comedian, actor here in Burbank, California, and I was out here for a while kind of writing movie reviews and sending them off to friends and kind of keeping them within a circle to where at one point my wife said, to make a website, and then, that way they could get out to more people, and everything that you're doing, taking all this time, telling us your opinions about movies, can get out to more and more people. So eventually I just realized that the best way to do that is to combine the love of comedy I have and all the training I have with Second City and places like that and the movie reviews. So now the Movie Guys has become this entity that is movies plus comedy. So it's become a site. It eventually became a bunch of videos online. It's eventually become, a bunch of personalities who can now show up at live events, and we host things, and it's become this podcast, and it's a whole number of things that I'm happy to see that it's expanded into.
Paul, it's being disputed that you're the founding genius, but I'm going to stick with that story. Anyway.
The term genius it's a pretty strong term.
Paul, I'm curious, though, because, Second City is here in Chicago. Were you in Chicago?
Yeah, I did 4 years in Chicago. That sounds like a pale term, but it was in the winter. Karen and I got a job on the Disney Cruise Line, which at the time was working with the Brave New Workshop up in Minneapolis, an also long-standing, heralded improv company. And Karen, who might be here in a moment to join us for this, also a co-host of the movie Showcast, which is the podcast that we do.
Right.
He and I got a job on Disney doing Whose Line Is It Anyway type improv shows for 8 months, after which you don't want any more snow. So we didn't go back to Chicago. That's when we came out here.
Well, I can certainly understand why you guys are in Burbank. Terrific. And let's go to Ray. Ray, talk to us about the genesis of your experiences in the film world.
Well,
the most illustrious moments.
Well, people called me like kind of a Renaissance man because, and that doesn't mean I like Shakespeare or I'm into live action role playing, but some consider me a person with many talents. I've worked for the motion picture television industry for over 25 years.
Oh wow!
And I was a stand-up comic, a screenwriter, which I still am, a union official representing the studio workers. I actually co-ran a union for 4 years.
Oh.
Was a successful advertising executive for Republic Media out in Arizona, and a presenter at the presenter and Q&A person for the Phoenix Film Festival and the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival, and an entertainment journalist.
Ray is legit. Like, we're just goofballs.
Yeah, seriously.
Ray is like a legitimate guy who's like done stuff. Pretty impressive.
Well, I worked at Warner Brothers, Fox, MGM, Disney, but the majority of my time was at Universal. And in that time, I met some incredible people: James Garner, John Belushi, Jackie Gleason.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really amazing. And some of the most memorable sets I worked on were John Carpenter's The Thing, Paul Schrader's Cat People, and Back to the Future 2 and 3.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, we're so glad that you're here. And let me sort of go to Justin and hear about Justin. Justin, tell us about your history and what brings you to the movie industry.
When I was in college, in order just to make money, I started. I was a theater major as well as a communication major, and I started working at a local production company up in Santa Barbara. And the guy who owned the production company is an Academy Award winner, and I learned just a ton of stuff from that guy. And basically, after hosting for him, I learned to produce and basically paid for my college producing. So I've been just kind of involved in the movie industry ever since. In all honesty, though, the downside is I like being in front of the camera more so than I like being behind it. so Well, yeah, I'm a little vain like that.
You're a little vain like that. Well, it's our fortune that you were able to join us tonight. Thank you so much. And I think for all the people who are watching that they should know that both Justin and Ray are very frequent contributors to the podcast of the Movie Guys.
Yep.
Right? I think that's right?
And to the whole website. They're excellent writers and love reviewing indies and shorts. So that's why I wanted to get them involved in your website.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Okay, well, thanks, you guys. And we're also joined tonight by our colleague, Duana De La Cerda, who is managing our Twitter feed for everybody who's watching. Please,
I don't believe that.
She's been accused of being artificial intelligence, and that could be so. But everybody, please join us by using the hashtag The Movie Guys. Okay, so let's go into a discussion about The Movie Guys. And Paul, start by telling us, what did you want? I appreciate very much the evolution of everything that you've created, but why is The Movie Guys like the signature piece at the moment?
Well, it's a unique take. I mean, anyone can get online, and now you see it with an unending string of blogs and videos and things like that, where people pontificate about their thoughts on movies. But I mean, we try and bring the comedy as much as possible, and I think that unique take makes our show unique. Plus, with the movie showcast, which is what we like to call our podcast, but basically search The Movie Guys anywhere. We come up. Google, which we're on.
Right.
iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, you name it. We're going to come right up. We make a show each week. A lot of comics like to do podcasts where it's like, hey, we got a mic and we say funny stuff, so we'll stick the mic in an echoey room and just blab on. Something cool will happen, and good luck. We craft a whole show. We have written material, we have special guests, we have sketches and characters, and it's a whole big thing. It's a production, in a quality studio here in Burbank that I put together myself just to make sure the audio and visuals would be pleasing. So it's not just a dank room with a crappy mic. It's a real good show. So bringing that to movie talk, I think, was what spawned most of this. Our unique take is going to be just that. I think hopefully fresh for all listeners who love movies.
Right. Well, I was going to say, in the movie that the short that we saw tonight, was such an interesting take on the Hunger Games, right?
Yeah.
Sort of, and like blending somehow, I don't know how you did it, but it makes sense when you think about it. Football, baseball, with the Hunger Games. How does that happen?
Well, you take the Battle of the Network Stars, you take the Hunger Games, boom, you have the Hunger Games to the Network Stars. I mean, it just seemed natural to us. When we get to kill a whole bunch of old celebrities, that sounds like fun.
I know. We were like, oh my gosh, you were talking about John Ritter. You were talking about people that.
Yeah. TCM, go ahead. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Ray, do you have a question for Paul?
Well, when I first met Paul at the Phoenix Film Festival, and I got to tell you, I'm so happy to have met him because one, I have to say, being new to all this, Paul. Hey, Karen.
Hello. Oh, there she is. Hey, Karen.
I like my hat. Thank you.
Hey, you stole it from me. Crazy Google
Can I give
hangout.
it back to you? There it is. No, I don't like. Okay. I'm sorry. You were saying.
Okay.
We're gonna Ray's making a point, Karen, and then we're gonna come back to you so you can sort of tell everybody about all the amazing things that you do with Paul.
Kinky.
Go ahead, Ray.
Too much detail.
No. Go ahead, Ray.
TMI.
Yes. Right. We have to throw the TMI flag on the field. Go ahead, Ray.
Oh, okay. Just that when I met Paul, he was very gracious in what we had to do out there because we're on a very tight schedule.
Right.
And Paul realized that with his people, and we worked things out beautifully. One of the things I wanted to ask Paul was, how did you pick and choose, Paul, as far as the different people that you were going to interview? Because there was such a plethora of talent out there.
Interviewing at the festival or out here in LA?
At the festival.
Oh, at the festival?
Yeah.
Well, that's a busy festival, Phoenix Film Fest. And we were introducing a whole bunch of films, so we interviewed whoever. First of all, the onus a lot of times is on the filmmakers. If we interviewed a filmmaker, it's because they saw an opportunity to say, hey, more people can find out about my short.
Right.
And, kudos to any filmmaker that gets aggressive like that and takes the step to be seen by more people. So a lot of times when we interviewed folks, it was us saying, we'll talk to anybody, and them saying, let's do it.
And I'd like to add to that that.
Oh, good. Hey, Karen. Karen, before you add, can you tell everybody like who you are and all that amazing stuff?
Yes, my name is Karen Volpe. I'm married to Paul, but that's not why I'm in the show. I represent any movie that's not a Hobbit movie or a blockbuster movie that's had 10 of them made already. I'm there for like the romantic comedies, the
Bridget
Jones' Diary, Bill Murray movies where men are like love each other but not in a gay way.
Shawshank.
I love all that. But I represent that stuff. The acting without special effects. I was going to say about Ray's point is that there are two ways. One, we had our equipment set up, and whoever approached us, we were more than happy to talk to them. And we had such a crazy schedule. It was kind of, if we're free, when you're free, come on over. But also, we tried to see some of the different movies, and I saw a whole bunch of these horror shorts and loved half of them, just loved them. And I went and found the guy and said, I think you're awesome. Are you free to come talk to me? So I was pursuing people. There was this one guy that did something about spiders. Who was that guy? Loved him.
Oh,
that was Bertrand Parr.
Oh, he was
Pare. Sure.
He not only made a great movie, but he was a great guest on the show because he had this wonderful romantic story about how he met his wife in high school, and she was the head football player, and now the head football player is his gardener. Kind of the greatest story ever. And he was a nerd, and he got hooked up with the head cheerleader after high school, and now the guy who was dating her is the gardener.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. Karen, you should know that Ray has a question for you, but it may have been blocked by Paul. I'm not sure.
Uh-oh, Paul.
No, that's it. No, but also, the last thing I'll say about Death Fest is we were super busy introducing movies, so we had pockets of time here and there to also talk to people. So schedules had to work out. There might have been some people we didn't get to talk to.
Right.
There were some celebs I wanted to talk to, but I think we were there for 4 days of the 7-day festival, so there were also some late. Was Richard Linklater there, Ray, or just the film Boyhood?
No, what happened? Richard Linklater wasn't there, but the young man that the whole film was about, he was there.
Okay, that film we got to go and see, and I think from what I've heard, everybody has to go and see it.
Unfortunately, I was so exhausted from being there from the opening to all the way to the closing. I got about 40 minutes into it, and I went, I can't do this anymore. No, the film is great.
That's no take on the film, people.
No take on the film. The film's phenomenal. I'm just saying, I can't wait to see it.
Right. So the next time we all get together, we'll talk about it. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
I was going to say, see it at the opening night of a film festival. Then you won't pass out.
Right, then you won't pass out. Right.
And Ray, I love 1941 behind you. That's awesome.
That's an original piece of artwork.
Is it really?
Yes, that's the original artwork that they used before they came out with the. That was the first poster they wanted to use.
Wow. Justin, do you have a question for now Paul and or Karen?
I do.
Oh, good.
Well, I know some of the answer to this question. My question for them. Thank you very much. Figured, it's piratey. And look, sometimes now it's like I'm on a ship. Whoa! Arr.
Justin, I didn't even recognize you. It was so good.
Feels like evil Justin.
This is Gar that you're talking to. Justin is not here. My question for Paul and Karen would be, what is it that makes the movie guys better than other movie websites out there?
Aside from the awesome cast, yes.
Aside from other people that are involved,
Yeah. Well, one thing that involves directly with you guys, with Ray and Justin submitting reviews, if it's an indie, most of the time we will not. I don't think ever have we posted a review for an indie film or a short film that's been a bad review. If we don't like it, we're not going to post it. 'Cause it's not going to help an indie film.
No, it just makes us look like jerks.
Traction. So that's one thing. I mean, the comedy angle, I think, is another. Again, you can read reviews till go to Rotten Tomatoes. It's like 400 people on there reviewing movies, and they're all kind of the same. We try and give you a unique take.
I also think that going back to when I introduced myself and said that I bring my love of like Bill Murray movies and movies without special effects, that in a way is one of the strengths of the show, is that I bring my elements. So it's like tent poles, and our tent poles are very far apart. So Paul loves, well, he mostly loves everything. He's good at being the host, but like Lee, he's more into intellectual dramas and any Tom Cruise movie and action and adventure and that kind of thing, but like cops and bad guys. And Adam is into space movies and superhero films and special effects and anything that they've made 3 of, and he'll go to all that stuff that I don't necessarily know much about, but we're so far apart that when we all bring our ideas together, I think that's where the interesting conversation, the interesting insight comes whenever we actually can agree on something. Or I love this whole Guardians of the Galaxy thing, which is kind of amazing because that's not normally my genre, but Adam turned me on to it, and I loved it. And it's very much like a Bill Murray movie, so I liked it.
Oh no, we've lost our cast member. Justin, I was going to say, I love your question of Kieran and Paul. Is there another sort of aspect that stands out for you that makes the movie guys distinctive?
Absolutely. I think the biggest change for between us and some of the other people out there is that not only are we kind of all encompassing, but we're also people that just truly love movies. I mean, we're not there. There are people out there that their entire website will be just about talking trash, and it's never about celebrating. It's more just about making fun of, where I think something that you will find on us, I mean, we do our own fair share of making fun of things, but I think you will also find plenty of us absolutely celebrating and loving things, you know?
Right. I mean, I personally love you guys' comments, and for the review that we just watched, we were talking earlier, as you know, about how you blended, you know, sort of regular sports as we know it, football and that kind of stuff, with the Hunger Games. You know what I mean? And use the Hunger Games to use sports to explain the Hunger Games, which for me, you know, I missed that, but it's a brilliant. So I mean, I love your point, Justin.
I would like to add to that, though. I think if, like Ray is even commenting here in the chat that he ripped into Under the Skin. Well, that got some national release and has a huge star in it. The millionaires can take it. So if we goof on the movies made by millionaires, starring millionaires, they can hack it. You know, they stepped into that kind of thing.
This is true. If you read the reviews of major releases, we will rip into them if we have problems, but there's also plenty where we celebrate them. I guess it's just that I know that there's a show out there which is literally called something like Talking Trash. Like, that's what their show is called. And it's about movies, and it's like, okay, well, I guess I know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't want every movie to be good. God, we want every movie to be good.
Oh, yeah.
And I think...
Well, I mean, I think that the great thing about movies, though, is... I was going to say the great thing about movies is it's a point of view, right, of that particular artist, and you may or may not agree with it, and that's okay. You know what I mean? That's what makes, you know, the sort of the artistic expression so amazing. It captures everything.
I have a little bit of a gripe as far as I seriously feel that any film costs $5 million or more, it does not have the right to be crap. It does not have the right to bore us. That's just my feeling. So if you're a smaller film, you're under $5 million, you don't have a big star or whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna give you props. I mean, you struggled. And
just because you made it.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that. I at the same time, though, totally appreciate, you know, with Paul and Kieran and you, Justin, and you, Ray, you know, the fact that you guys do have such thoughtful and insightful comment about these movies, right? And you always give kudos, as Kieran, as you were saying, to the artists because of what they were able to accomplish. I mean, this is an amazing, you know, professional community, right? So that's really cool. I was going to say, Ray, do you have another question for Paul and Kieran? And now, Kieran, since we know her special sauce is everything. Everything with no special effects.
Can I ask them a question?
Yes, of course you can ask them a question.
Okay, so Justin sort of, over time, self-defined himself as the indie movie reviewer.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the good-looking guy in the show.
And then and Ray has, upon first meeting him this year, defines himself immediately, if you start talking about movies, as a horror guy. So what do you think defines each of you that way?
Oh, who do you want to start with, Paul?
Justin.
Okay.
Being like I said, since I got my start underneath that producer, I've been involved with indie films for a very long time. In front of the camera, which is what I like to do, but also behind the camera, as a filmmaker, and I've won a number of awards for shorts as well, and I've also done independent features, that type of thing. So I have that. I've spent a fair amount of time at festivals, so I feel like there is. I judge, if you look at my reviews, I judge indie films differently because it's a different genre than your major blockbuster releases. And indie drama is going to be different than a drama from Sony. An indie horror is going to be different than a horror from New Line. Unless that's what they're going for, and it's a brilliant little piece. But then also, I also appreciate shorts because I've seen so many of them and been a part of them as well. So I kind of feel like, when Paul originally approached me, he said, "What do you want to do?" And my early reviews were mostly about, major films and things like that. But I always told Paul, I'm going to write reviews for the films that no one goes to see. I'm going to go write just the reviews for the terrible action film that no one has seen, that never made it into the top 10, that type of thing. Right. So even when I was doing the blockbuster stuff, I still ended up doing mostly indie films.
Justin, do you really think that those are terrible films, or do you just think that was just a different way of telling a story?
There are. I think there are a lot of films that are made that are just terrible, and there really are some. And the reason why I say that is because not just by a different way of telling a story. You can tell when a movie is made by committee, and it's not a single person's vision. It's not a person. It's a bunch of people in a room who said, "Let's make a movie just for the sake of making a movie," and there's no passion behind it. And that is you end up with things that aren't very good films, where it's cookie cutter. Like one guy says, "No, we have to have this in it," and you can see the other producer says, "Well, we have to have this in it," and you end up with this giant mishmash of stuff that happens. Whereas one of the things I love about indies is you typically have that sole vision of someone. Yeah. And so they might stumble along the way and make a few things you disagree with, but at least you can appreciate that's their vision.
Right.
Right. And that's impressive.
Right.
Me. That's one of the reasons why I love them.
I think it's important, though, for you to distinguish for our viewers what you mean when you say something is terrible. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of that it doesn't have a coherent story. You know what I mean? That's what you're really talking about, right?
Well, right. Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm. Things that are thrown in just for the sake of things being thrown in. Kevin Smith once told a story about how when he was when they brought him aboard to do Superman many years ago. Originally, they wanted Superman to. They're telling, Kevin Smith, "You're going to write the script, but we know that we want Superman to fight a polar bear at one point." And he just looked at them and said, "Why would Superman fight a polar bear?" And there is no fight there. I mean, Superman would just kill the polar bear, or he'd just stop him, and that's it. It's over. That's just someone just doing things for the sake of doing it, as opposed to having any kind of creative vision behind something.
So Ray, why horror?
I've always gravitated. I mean, as a child, I've gravitated towards the darker side. Right. But it's interesting. We established in the podcast that I did that I'm not there for gore. I'm there for a good story that's going to give me chills, and that's where little independents excel so well, and also shorts. Shorts can be remarkable because they're so focused. They know they only have a certain amount of time.
Right.
And there were a couple of shorts that I've seen. Actually, there's many shorts I've seen, but the two that stand out in my head, I believe it was 2013, there was a short at One Best Short. It was called Brutal Relax. And it's about this guy, and it was a foreign film, too. And this guy's trying to relax on the beach, and it's during a zombie apocalypse. And it was hysterical. People were laughing. People were going nuts over it. We loved it. Another one was called Meth, and you should look that up. Meth is probably one of the most disturbing shorts I've ever seen. about a meth addict who starts fantasizing about this mannequin that he's brought into his place, and the mannequin comes to life, and it's freaky as hell. It's wonderful. But as I mentioned before in the podcast, I'm not all about horror. I have a vast collection of movies. When I say vast, I probably have close to a couple thousand, and my wife wants to kill me.
Right.
Over 400 of
He's
them.
watching. He knows.
Over 400 of them are horror.
Oh, wow.
But the rest of them are comedy and cult and drama. And in fact, I've got an article now that I've been bringing to the movie guys called Worth Reviving, about great old movies that have practically disappeared. Many generations are not familiar with these movies. And the reason why they're not familiar with them is because we used to have revival houses. And the revival houses, not only did they bring movies like Harold and Maude or King of Hearts, these great little independents, they'd also have a whole line of shorts, too. Wow. They'd have a night of shorts. This was a great outlet. But what happened was we had the advent of home video. And we had bottom dollar cinema come in, which I'm talking about Hollywood Video and Blockbuster and Warehouse. They all went in, and they gave us just what they thought people wanted, which was the last 20 years of cinema or whatever, and forgot about everything else. So people are not aware of great movies like Beckett, which I had talked about. Beckett starred Peter O'Toole and Richard Burton. It's an amazing film. Amazing film. It was up for 12 Oscars, and people go, I never heard of this movie before. You know. So there's other great movies. I mean, I can date way back, like Spencer Tracy, Bad Day at Black Rock, or like I mentioned before, Harold and Maude, El Topo, Jodorowsky's El Topo. Great films. Right. And I'll tell you another thing to look at for anybody who's not familiar. Some of the greatest filmmakers started with shorts. Look at David Lynch. Did you ever see David Lynch's shorts? I'm not talking about the underwear. I'm talking about it.
Oh my God!
I'm talking boxers here. Did you see Did you see David Lynch's version of the alphabet?
I'm going to say no. Has anybody else seen it?
No.
It is the most Lynchian version of the alphabet you will ever see. I had to walk out afterwards and get a breath of fresh air after I'd seen it. But in his other film, which he also made, it was a short for college called, I believe it's called The Grandma. Okay. Incredibly disturbing. And, I mean, this just shows you the power that these short films have. And it's great that you have a venue like this. So
I was going to say, Ray, thank you so much. This is like a perfect segue to why It's a Short is so wonderful. I can't even appreciate. I couldn't have set it up better. Thank you. Do you want to say something about itsashort.com? Please, that'd be great.
I will, because Ray sees tons of shorts because he's at a fest, but and Justin goes to fest and I go to fest and we seek these things out. But if you're sitting at a computer in the middle of nowhere where they don't have festivals,
right?
Or so your website will be a great way to see the shorts. Or if you're a filmmaker who's made a short and it's played festivals, and then what? I need more eyeballs on it. Right. Here's another venue. So I think it's pretty cool.
Oh, thank you, Paul. That is so cool. I was going to say, guys, we're kind of coming up to the end of our period of time. I know we've had such a good time. I'm wondering if we can sort of start with just sort of everybody talking about what their latest projects are. And sort of what you're working on or what you want to tell the audience that you're doing coming up in the future. Want to start with you, Justin?
Sure. Right now, what is one of the things that one of the things that I'm working on right now is actually Paul and I worked together on a horror short not too long ago. I don't think Ray actually even knows about this. Do you, Ray? Do you know that we did this?
No.
I don't know about it. I want to know about it.
The working title is called Oh, the Effing Horror. That's what it's called.
Perfect.
Paul and I worked on it a little while, and right now we're in post-production, so hopefully that will be coming out sometime soon.
Oh, that'd be great.
It's bragging, but yeah.
And Ray,
It's been slow going in post-production.
It's slowly grinding its way through post.
Yeah.
Ray, what about you? What are you working on?
I am finishing up my first novel. It's it's a supernatural spaghetti western.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a publisher or an
I do not have a publisher as of yet, but
Okay.
I do have a good friend that's an author that's been on the New York Times bestseller list, and he has told me that he will be happy to work some things out with me. So I'm looking forward.
Oh, fantastic. And we do or do not have a working title?
Gothic Dust.
Gothic Dust. Well done. Well done. Okay. And Paul and Karen, what are you guys working on that you want everybody to know?
Well, we're
Thank you, honey.
continuing on with the site, growing and expanding. We have been getting great guests recently, and that will continue. We'll continue to get more great guests. I also need to make a feature film at some point.
Excellent.
So that I got to throw my hat in the ring and put my money where my mouth is. If I think I've learned anything from watching movies for decades, I'm going to step into that arena as well. Finish the script and hopefully get going on that soon.
Oh, that's so exciting. We so look forward to it. Well,
We also had a super busy summer, so we're kind of
really?
enjoying not doing a whole heck of a lot right now. We both
wow.
did plays, so we're on the other side now.
I think some of what people may or may not realize is that for many people that we get a chance to talk to who are like in the short film space, that you guys are multiple in so many ways. Do you know what I mean? That some people are filmmakers, some people are writers, some people are actors. There's so much going on, and I am so excited to be able to share with people, so that it's not just the film reviewing in this particular instance, the movie guys, but that you guys are working actors, right? On stage. That's pretty amazing. Do you want to say what your most recent theatrical experiences were?
Yeah, I'll go because I'm wearing a beard and a hat. I just was out of town for 2 months doing the Pump Boys and the Dinettes in Sonora, California, up north.
Oh, wow.
So that's a full-on musical. I played guitar, I played the spoons, I tap danced. And so I've only been home about 2 weeks. And now I'm currently in rehearsal with my singing group called the Boubet Sisters.
Oh, nice.
Yay!
We're going to be hitting the recording studio this Saturday to record a song, and then we're going to make a music video. So we're very busy. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing.
And I might use this hat because it's pretty cute.
Yeah.
I know. I love your hat. I mean, it just sort of totally works and sort of as that. Well, I want to say to each of you, thank you so much. We at itsashort.com have had an amazing experience meeting so many wonderful people, and you guys are absolutely at the top of our list. We love the movie guys' sort of work, and we love your shorts, and we want everybody to come to itsashort.com and check them out. And hopefully we can get together again and do some other work and talk about some of your newer projects. What do you think, eh?
I think that sounds fantastic.
Is Dwanda okay? She looks like she's being held in a basement somewhere in Mexico.
I know.
Yeah. It's so dark.
Well, she's not in the basement, but she's probably surrounded by all of her amazing dogs. She has wonderful dogs.
Oh, I want to see the dogs.
Yeah, they're just. She said she's on mute because they always contribute to our sort of hangout. So they like to be a part of it. Yeah, they're always a part of it. So we always have.
It's the dog, not dog.
Well, listen, you guys, thank you so much tonight. This was great, and we will be in touch soon. Thanks, everybody who's watching.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, and having fun.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
There's the hat.